Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to have a little look at Australian family history records. So this is just going to be a broad kind of overview of online resources that you can use if you're researching your family history in Australia. If my footage looks weird, I'm hoping that this is going to turn out. My light has broken and it's incredibly dark and rainy today, so I am just hoping that the light in here is good enough. So if it looks weird, sorry. If you haven't already, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that it updates you of all of my future videos. And let's go ahead and get started. So first, I'm just going to talk generally about resources that are good for all of Australia, no matter sort of what era or where they lived or anything, just general Australian resources. And then I'm going to go into each state and just talk about a few of those. So like I said, this is just going to be an overview. This isn't every single place that you can look. There are going to be other places, and honestly, if I miss something really good, make sure you put it in the comments below. But yeah, keeping that in mind, let's just go ahead and look at Australia-wide resources. So the first and most amazing resource in my opinion, and if you're only going to look at one thing or take one thing away from this video, this is the one, and that's Trove. If you haven't heard of Trove, then you're missing out, and it will completely revolutionize your family history research. Trove is put together by the National Library of Australia. It is digitized newspapers and it's totally searchable online. It is a fantastic newspaper research, what do I call it? Website. So I'll give you an example on Trove. I'll type in my 3 times great-grandfather and put it into newspapers and gazettes, and there you go. We've got articles about him. These first few are definitely him. So bankruptcy. So there's that. And then you can see on the left hand side you've got different options, so you can actually download, and if I want to keep this article I can just download it as an image or PDF or text if I want, and then I can just open up the file and there it is, so I can save that to my computer. So where Trove ends, it's sort of, I think, around the 1950s. They are always digitizing, so I might be a little bit behind there. But the more recent newspapers are available at the State Library of New South Wales. They also have an online resource, so you can actually search their newspapers online, but you need to be a member of the State Library of New South Wales. And I think that is only for New South Wales residents. So that's a little bit of a bummer, that bit, but however, if you need anyone to look up anything for you, you can always contact me because I do offer research services, so I can do that for you. Okay, the next website I'm going to suggest is the National Archives of Australia. So that website is very broad. It has so many different sorts of records on it. It's particularly useful for military, like World War I and II records, but all sorts of things. It's just worth doing, honestly, a name search, just looking for your ancestor, because you'll find all sorts of things there. The next website I'm going to suggest is more of a subscription-based website. I'm going to suggest Find My Past. So you just go to search and all record sets, and then you can change by which area you want to look at, and you can go to Australia and New Zealand. And you can see how many records they've got. So these are from, some of them are Australia-wide and some of them are the different states, New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland. So you'll actually find quite a lot of records on this website. So even though it's a subscription-based website, it could be well worth the subscription because you're going to get access to so many records. So I'm just going to show you an example. I'm going to search the Victoria Wills and Probate, and I'm going to type in John McGregor because that is my ancestor's name who died in Victoria. Actually, you know what? I think he might have died in 1884. This is probably the wrong person. But anyways, you'll get an idea. You can just, there you go. Like, look at that probate record. This is why, like, you know, yeah, you could individually go and search all of these and buy them, but sometimes just getting one sort of subscription means that you have access to so many more records. It just means that it's actually more economical. And Find My Past has some amazing stuff in here. If you haven't already signed up to Find My Past, I do have a discount code. I'll put the information in the description box below the video. But yeah, you can get 20% off a pro subscription, which is awesome. Okay, next is the Ryerson Index. If you haven't heard of this website, it is really incredible. So it is basically a website that has indexed obituaries that are in newspapers. So remember I told you how great Trove was. It's often great to go first to the Ryerson Index if you're looking for an obituary, because it will narrow down exactly what newspaper and what date you're looking for. So you just type in, you know, I'm just going to put one example, my great-grandfather, Michael Doyle. And you can put the years. I happen to know that he died in 1955, but if you didn't, you can put a wider bracket. And so as you can see in the result, it shows me the details of an obituary for a Michael Doyle in 1955, tells me his age, tells me where he lived, you know, that tells me that it's the right person. But yeah, you can do a wider search and narrow it down. But I immediately then know which newspaper I have to find to get his obituary. Next is the National Library of Australia. They have a lot of great family history resources, definitely worth checking out. I will also suggest the, I don't know how I'm going to pronounce this, AETSIS or AETSIS website. I'm sorry, I don't know how you're supposed to say it, but it is particularly useful if you have Aboriginal heritage. So it's not a database in itself, but if you have Aboriginal ancestry, they have lots of good resources for tracing your Aboriginal ancestors. The last thing that I'm just going to mention before I move on to the States is that if you're doing family history research in Australia, it is also worth trying to track down local family history societies in the area that you are searching. So if you know the town or region that your ancestors were living in, see if they have a current sort of family history society on the ground there. So you can often just do a Google search to find this one. And if you can find them, a lot of them don't have very fancy websites, but you can get contact details, an email or a phone number. And a lot of them are usually very helpful with local sort of research. And a lot of them know they have resources that just aren't really online. Okay, now to move on to the States. So for those of you who are international, you might not be aware, but Australia is divided into states and territories. So I'm going to start with New South Wales because New South Wales was kind of the earliest sort of state, and you know, Sydney being the first place that people were landing. So a lot of the earliest records come from New South Wales. So my first suggestion is the State Archives of New South Wales. They have a lot in person, but they also have a lot on their website, and you can contact them through their website to get other things that, you know, they'll provide record retrieval kind of services. Or once again, you can come to me because I'm in New South Wales, so I can help you there. The next thing for New South Wales that I would suggest is the New South Wales Births, Deaths and Marriages website. They have a really good searchable kind of database. The last that I'll suggest for New South Wales is the State Library of New South Wales. If you can go there in person, it's fantastic. They actually have a really good family history section there with a lot of different records that you can search and, you know, books, a lot of great resources, even staff there that can help you. Also, their website has lots of good resources on it, and if you're a member, you can also access further kind of resources. Actually, one more that I'll just throw out there is the Society of Australian Genealogists. So they're located in Kent Street in Sydney, and you can join their library, or you can just, I think, get like a day pass if you just want to pop in there for a day. And they have a lot of great, like they have a great library and, you know, computer sort of resources as well. and staff that are really helpful. They also do a lot of like online webinars, and I think they do seminars as well, but less these days. But yeah, so that's just another one to remember. Okay, the next state that I'm going to look at is Victoria. Okay, Victoria has Trove, the Public Records of Victoria website, which is really useful. They have quite a lot on there. Definitely worth checking out that one. The next thing is Victoria's birth, death and marriages. So they have a good searchable kind of database, and just like New South Wales, you can order certificates. So yeah, I think those are the two most useful that I've found in Victoria, as well as, of course, once again, local family history societies. All right, time for Tasmania. So Tasmania also has extremely early records, just like New South Wales, because both New South Wales and Tasmania, which was originally known as Van Diemen's Land, had the earliest sort of settlements there. So Tasmania also has a lot of very early records. Tasmania actually has one of the best websites, in my opinion. It's the Link Tas website, and it is searchable for, like, they have birth, death and marriage records, they have convict records, they have literally heaps of things that you can find on there. I would highly recommend, like, I kind of envy people who have Tasmanian ancestry just because of how good their record search thing is. And the Link Tas website is free, so you're not even paying for it. It's incredible. They also do have a births, deaths, marriages website, but it is, I think, kind of limited to more recent times. I've never had to use that one before. Okay, that is my suggestions for Tasmania. Okay, now to move on to Queensland, I'm not sure what this is, the Sunshine State? Okay, Queensland has the State Library of Queensland, which has a lot of great resources on their website. And Queensland also has a really good searchable births, deaths, marriages website as well. So just like New South Wales and Victoria, Queensland's search facility on their births, deaths, marriages is really good. Once again, you can get yourself, you can order records from there. Okay, on to South Australia. So South Australia has some really great records as well. I've done quite a bit of my own family history in South Australia. There is firstly the State Library of South Australia. Next, there is the State Records of South Australia. All right, now there are two other websites that I'm going to suggest. There is Genealogy SA. Genealogy SA has sort of birth, death, marriage records, things like that. It's a subscription-based website. So it's one of those ones where if you have a lot of family history in South Australia and you know you're going to be needing a lot of certificates, that would be maybe worth your money. But if you're just sort of doing it for one or two, it's probably not going to be. The Unley Library is also something that is worth checking out. They do free transcriptions. At least they were free when I was using it. So I'm not sure if they've changed that. However, I think they are just a small kind of local library and museum. So they might not be super fast with their turnover. However, you know, they're free. So that's great. The other thing with the Unley Library is that it's a little bit tricky to actually find the section where you order transcripts. It's not just straightforward. So I'll just show you exactly how you get to it. So you need to go to Home, Events, Programs and Facilities, Facilities and Venues, Unley Museum, Activities and Resources, and then Family History. So you'll see that once you get there, there is the email and research request form that you can fill out. And then you can see the collection below. There's actually quite a lot of collections that they have. So yeah, definitely worth checking out Unley Library if you are looking for South Australian records. I can see that they've also got a few other indexes, so that could also be useful. All right, the next ones are ones that I haven't really personally dealt with myself, so I couldn't really vouch for how great these websites are, but I'll talk about the Northern Territory. I've not had any ancestry there myself, so I haven't used their websites, but they do have a births, deaths, marriages website. I believe that this website isn't so much a searchable database. I think that you need to contact them with who you're looking for and they'll search it and find it for you. So that kind of sucks. I really love the searchable ones, but if you know who you're looking for, I guess, you know, you can contact them that way. I did also find the Genealogical Society of the Northern Territory. They look like they have a lot of good resources. So I'd suggest contacting them as well if you have Northern Territory ancestry. Okay, on to the second last one, Western Australia. So I've never personally had to deal with Western Australian records before, but they do have births, deaths, marriages. I had a quick look at their births, deaths, marriages website, and it actually looks like it's maybe a pretty good searchable system. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you've used it before and how it actually is. Western Australia also has a really interesting history, so yeah, I'd be interested if any of you have Western Australian ancestors. The State Library of Western Australia also looks like it has a really useful family history section, so I would also recommend checking that one out. And last and probably least is the Australian Capital Territory, that is Canberra. It is the smallest state and a city. It's just, you know, it barely counts. I was almost not even going to bother mentioning it because it's so small. Sorry if you're from Canberra. So I am not going to go into their website, but they do have a births, deaths, marriages kind of section. It's really hard to find. So the website is accesscanberra.act.gov.au. But it's really hard to navigate, and to be honest, like, I just couldn't be bothered because Canberra. So once again, I'm sorry. Why am I? Yeah, I'm just tired. So okay, that about wraps this video. I hope that you found it helpful. Like I said, it was really just a quick rundown. There will be definitely other resources out there, and if you have any amazing ones that you'd like to share, please put them down in the comment section below. But I think I've given you enough to get started with your Australian family history research. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure that you give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button because it really helps out my channel when you do. And I will see you soon in my next video. Bye.